I was never really a runner. The way I see running is a gift, especially when you have stage 4 cancer. I'm Anne. I'm running the Boston Marathon, presented by Bank of America. I run for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute to give people like me a chance to thrive in life, even with cancer.
Join Bank of America in helping Anne's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportAnne. What would you like the power to do? References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation. Copyright 2025.
All right, on today's pod, how to become a world-famous food content creator. The internet is flooded with food content, but somehow some creators manage to cut through the noise, building audiences in the millions, turning their passion into global success. Today's guest, Andy Cooks, went from cooking in kitchens around the world to becoming one of the biggest food creators on the planet, with over 17 million followers across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. But here's the thing. This episode isn't just about Andy's journey. This is for anyone who's ever thought, hey, maybe I could create some content. Whether you're a small business trying to stand out, a home cook wanting to share your skills, or just someone curious about what it takes to become a global success. We'll break down how Andy built his brand, the strategies that help him blow up online, and what actually works when growing an audience today. So if you've ever wanted to turn your passion into a brand, reach more people, or just hear an incredible story, this is the episode for you. Welcome to the show, Andy Cooks.
What an intro. What an intro. Thank you very much for having me.
Don't go anywhere. We're going to have a quick word from one of our sponsors, Apax Lab. Elevate your coffee experience with Apax Lab Mineral Concentrates. Apax Lab's precision-engineered formulas, including tonic, jam, and lilac, are designed to enhance the coffee's natural flavors. It's not going to change it, it's just going to enhance it. It's going to bring out the vibrant acidity, the rich sweetness, or if you use lilac, it might bring out those delicate floral notes that you've been looking for. Trusted by world-class cafes and even barista champions, Apax Lab helps you unlock your coffee's full potential. Discover more at apaxlab.com. Wait, where was that again, Sonam?
The internet.
Oh, okay. Thought he was going to say the website. Thanks.
Today's episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsors at Eco Barista. The reason I sound like this is because they got massages at our stand at Mice, and so I'm getting a massage while recording this message for you. They're the best sponsor of the pod that we could have had. They have the best eco products. This probably sounds really pornographic, but it's not. I'm just getting a massage. They have the best eco-friendly coffee products. They got coffee bags that you can design yourself. They got cups. They got iced coffee cups. They got everything you need. So make sure to support them because they support us. Head to ecobarista.com.au and get 15% off your first purchase when you sign up. Oh, mama, that's good.
And of course, I'm your host, Rowan Cook, sitting alongside me.
Sonam Sherpa.
And it's just coffee!
Did I get better at that?
Yeah, that was a little bit better. This is the coffee podcast about coffee, the food industry, and everything in that realm. And today, we're just going to be chatting about what it takes to make the content. We do it a bit here over with our brand, Golden Brown. Obviously, Andy Cooks is kind of like the epitome of it. So we're going to pick his brain and find out how to do it. But the first question that we start off by asking everyone.
Hit me.
It's a tough one. What's your go-to coffee order?
Oh, double espresso.
Double spreezy.
Yeah.
Oh, we've been serving you singles.
Yeah, that's why I keep asking for them. I'm like,
give us another one.
Yeah. I'm the same, double espresso. Yeah. Or batch brew. I mean, just depending on.
Yeah. Stick away from the milks?
Yeah, no milk coffee.
No milk.
Yeah.
Okay, so because you know that New Zealand did not invent the flat white, right?
No, but New Zealand does have better milk than Australia.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Any actual rationale behind that or just anecdotally?
Better grass.
I'm going to put my hand up here. I was recently in New Zealand and I was sitting on this beautiful rolling set of green hills, saw these amazing, plump, voluptuous cows, and I was speaking to them. I go, we actually work for a dairy business.
You were speaking to the cows?
No, I was speaking to something. That was also what I was doing. That's correct. And I was like, wow, those cows look really healthy. And they're like, yeah, they're great. They only milk them once a day.
Yeah, right.
In Australia, twice a day.
Yeah. Sometimes 3.
Yeah, sometimes really? 3, yeah. Yeah, so there is, there's some proof if you want it.
Yeah, okay. And was the milk, do you think the milk's better in New Zealand or Australia on average?
It's kind of hard for me to say. I think I'm not a milk connoisseur.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're tied to a brand, or
No, I'm just not a milk connoisseur.
yeah, fair.
Yes.
Actually, the milk is best right in a region. No.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll just throw something out divisive. Sonam just recently came back from New Zealand, and he's thrown out that New Zealand pies crap all over Australia.
Well, that's not anecdotal. That's like common known facts, and it's like, you know,
Why is that?
I couldn't tell you why. I'm not going to sit here and be like some New Yorker that's like, it's the water. But
It's the water. Yeah, it's the water.
It's the water. I don't know. They're just better.
Is it the butter in the pastry from the better milk?
Yeah. It might be
there it
onto
is.
something. Yeah.
Mate, I had a polusami pie. I had a hungy pie.
Oh, hungy pie.
I had
yeah.
like every pie that you could imagine.
Yeah.
I was driving out half an hour out of Auckland to go get these pies.
Yeah.
My partner's family is like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? It's like 9 a.m. in the morning. He's just driven half an hour to go get 2 pies.
Now, before we get into it, I just wanted to ask, obviously, you've grown so big in, the few years that you've been doing this. What is the craziest thing that's happened to you to date that just like kind of pinch yourself moment?
There's so many. There is, honestly, it's like, it's annoying now that like some of the stuff's normal to me. And I kind of catch myself being like, just respect what you're doing. I'm here in Melbourne this weekend for Formula One. I'll be in the pits with the Red Bull team, stuff like that. I'm a big Formula One fan, so that's kind of crazy. Hanging out with Taika and Rita in Los Angeles and kind of, I guess, becoming friends with them is pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like you guys are mates. Like you've hung out quite a bit since then, have you? Or
No, when we message back and forth. But yeah, I mean, I guess we can call ourselves friends, but yeah.
yeah, let's say friends.
Yeah,
Best friends,
sure.
I'd
Yeah,
say.
yeah,
You
yeah,
got
no.
bracelets together. You're great.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Being an adult, having a friend, probably seeing each other once every 3 months anyway.
Yeah. Oh, that's that.
Once a year.
Well, then you're best friends.
Now, let's just quickly go back to the start, just for the context. Give us a bit of a background of what sparked your passion for cooking.
So I've been into food my whole life, literally my whole life. So grew up in, from a poultry farm family. Mum was a great home cook, great baker. We kind of ate meals around the table, like real simple cooking, but, and then I've always wanted to cook. It's like one of those kids that always said, I want to be a chef when I grow up. There's photos of me playing with plastic food when I was like 3 years old. I had like the oven and stuff like that.
Oh,
So-
this will be great for your life story doco later on, having
yeah.
those photos of you doing little fake cooking.
Yeah. So that was, I don't know what sparked it. It's been my whole life. I've just always been really passionate about it, and then just left school as soon as I could and went straight to chef's college. So
Yeah, absolutely. And then you've cooked at some amazing restaurants all around the world. You've traveled everywhere. I guess a great connection for us being, a coffee podcast is you were the executive chef at St. Ali here in Melbourne, one of the most infamous coffee cafes that has made some amazing coffee names like Matt Perger, Ben Morrow, Shinsaku Fukuyama, and friends of the show, Jamie Thompson, Dan Dick, and of course, beloved Kirk Pearson.
Yeah.
I think you're forgetting Dobbins.
and Dobbins.
I said coffee personalities. And of course, other chef personality, Dobbers, the infamous for his point of view cooking and just teeing off at people in the comments.
The Balkan, the Balkan humor is strong.
And then Ben from Chin Chin cooked there.
Yeah.
Heaps, like so many chefs have cooked there.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
And so coming out of somewhere like that, did you have a huge appreciation for coffee before that, or did that kind of place educate you on the world and breadth of coffee?
Yeah, definitely. Having like a lot of those names, make my morning coffee for me every morning, for so long had a big impact. But I was a customer before I worked at St. Ali. I think when I first moved to Australia from London, I moved to Sydney and I came to Melbourne for a weekend of eating. And one of the places we got told to go to was St. Ali. And I kind of like walked in there and, that was like, I'm guessing 2012 maybe. And St. Ali was just firing at that point, like it was like packed. They had like maitre d' on the door and she was like, super engaging and awesome. And I was just like, what is that? I'd never been to a cafe like that with that energy. There was like a DJ playing, I think,
You have the Mexican cousin?
yeah, the Mexican was on the menu and people, it was just crazy. And then I remember, moving to Melbourne and then being a regular there all the time. And eventually, they were always like, come and work. And I said, I'll come and work when the exec chef job role comes up. And Andy, I've forgotten his last name.
From Andy to Andy.
Yeah.
You took over the other Andy chef.
Andy left, and he owned another cafe called Duchess of Spotswood in Spotswood. They rang up and said, "Hey, do you want to come and do the job?" I said, "Let's go."
Yeah. Another one that you worked at, Gill's Diner.
Gill's,
Funny connection for me. That was actually when I was young, I'd started working in hospo, but coffee was still kind of like, I drank a few milk coffees and I didn't really like espresso. And Gill's was like the first place that I went where I had a coffee where I'm like, oh, this is what it can be. That was kind of like my origin of like, with the big lever. Yeah, the big lever pull down. Yeah. I remember being there. So I was like, when I saw you work there, I'm like, there it was. You were probably standing in the back watching me through the kitchen hole. Look at this
coming of age moment.
Yeah. I mean, that was my first job in Melbourne. It was running Gill's Diner Kitchen, and that was an institution, that place.
Yeah, it's huge. Hey, just before we go too far down the line, just with your culinary beginnings, any family recipes you still keep in the rotation? Or
oliebollen. So that's one I do every year. Oliebollen's a Dutch donut. It's traditionally served at New Year's time. So I do a video on that every year, and all my Dutch friends, family and friends go crazy.
Perfect.
My nana's chicken a la king, which so my dad's side of the family, my nana Hearnden. So that's the dish that she made. A very proper English woman, and she made it one of the dishes I remember eating in the backyard of their place in Foxton.
Amazing.
And it's like cream, and it's like chicken and white wine and cream sauce. It's very
what's not to like?
But it's delicious. But those are the two that kind of stand out. Yeah,
nice. And there's those things that you have to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the tradition.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's one thing that, as like a half English, half Dutch person, I get really jealous of of my Indian friends and my Italian friends, and my Indonesian friends who have these come from these histories of amazing food culture for centuries, right? And we just kind of never really had it. And it's a weird thing to get jealous about, but it's
no, I'm with you, absolutely.
I'm like, man, our food's so boring. Seriously, where's some fermented fish or something?
And then as soon as you do it on your channel, you just crucify it. That's not how we do it.
The pepper noir.
So it's a pretty big shift from kind of going from executive chef at all these restaurants to deciding to want to become a full-time content creator. What kind of sparked this? I know it was during the COVID period.
I lost my job in COVID. I'd taken a pretty corporate hospo job. I was pretty ready to get out of the kitchen. Went to rehab and all that stuff, and we can get into that if you want to. But had an alcohol problem, went to rehab, came out and realized that I think my time as a leader of a really crazy kitchen probably needs to come to an end because of my mental health.
Yep.
And so it was looking at options. So I went to the corporate option. I took a role with a company called Emirates Leisure Retail Australia, which ran a lot of 100 venues around Australia and New Zealand, mainly in airports and in hospitals.
Hudson's and all that sort of stuff.
Yep. And then COVID happened. And so, of course, although it's a big company, they just kind of shut doors and don't worry about it, right? But it had a pretty profound effect on me. It was pretty, a real pivotal moment in my life. There was a couple of days of licking your wounds and feeling sorry for yourself. And then it was let's just figure something out. So we were living in Melbourne. My partner's from the Sunshine Coast, Caitlin. So we packed the cars up and drove to the Sunshine Coast and kind of walked around. I was like, I'm kind of done working for people. I want to do my own thing. I didn't really want to do a restaurant. I was like, what else can I do? So I kind of played with a few things and then decided, I was a big fan of guys like Josh Wiseman and those guys making content. And I was just like, man, Josh seems like me. He's not, with all, I love Josh. He's a good friend now. I was like, surely if this guy can do this, I can do this. So, and it was when TikTok was blowing up. I was like, well, let's just start making content. And I'm kind of an obsessive dude, so I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to post, I watched some YouTube video on how to become a content creator. And they're like, you got to post. So first 3 months, I posted 3 times a day.
Oh, and then, I remember that TikTok post of everyone being to get full reach, you have to post 3 times a day.
Yeah. And then it was like, this is probably unreasonable to doing cooking content 3 times a day. I'll just do it once a day. I posted it every day, probably for at least 2 years. And then, but then it got to the point where it's like, I not need to post every day now.
Well, that's really interesting that you say that, because my thought is one of the biggest common traits of successful people isn't just the skills, which you obviously have, but it's just that work ethic and that determination and those hours that are going to be put in to do it. What do you think is the one thing that's people underestimate to become like a content creator on this level?
The amount of hours that we work. Yeah. I don't know anyone successful, not only in this industry, but in any industry, that's not just working a lot of hours. Now, and I'm a real realist in the fact that not everyone wants to do that. Not everyone wants to live that life. But then I think you need to be a realist in the fact about what you can achieve. And there's nothing wrong with, working 40 hours a week and kind of living that life as well. But if you want to be successful, I think you have to go all in. And I think the other thing that I see often is that in content especially, you see people get a bit of success and it's like they take their foot off the gas.
Yeah.
And I'm the opposite. I think you see success, you need to put your foot down harder. And whether that's making more content, being more strategic about what you're doing, there's so many ways you can go harder. But
So you're timing wise, you're in COVID, so you got no job, so you went all in. You had the opportunity, the luxury to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
For someone who's still working full time in their 9 to 5, still trying to pay everything off and trying to moonlight and do this, what sort of advice would you give to that person?
Focus on the content, not the gear. If you're worried about cash, gear is amazing and it's great, but it actually adds layers of complexity and more hours and stuff like that. You don't, focus on audio is really important, but you don't need to spend heaps of money to get good audio. You can get cheap, lav mics now that work really well. And then, be in it, absorb it, kind of see what's going on, work your 9 to 5, and then in your breaks, you're going to be looking at other people's content, see what's working, what's not working. And then in your weekends and your evenings, make as much content as you can.
Yeah. Now, there are some studies out there that have showed that public speaking is the second scariest thing above death. People are more worried about public speaking than they are death. So standing in front of a camera, you coming as a chef, I'm sure you didn't have huge amounts of experience public speaking. How do you cross that barrier and put yourself in front of the camera? Because I'm sure from people I've spoken to, that seems to be one of the biggest barriers of beginning the journey.
Yeah, it's hard. And it wasn't easy for me. It didn't come naturally, but it was that just repetition. Just do it. The first 3 months, I would let no one else be in the room when I was filming. I don't know why,
really?
But yeah. And then you're like, I need a monitor on my camera. So you put a monitor on your camera. Then instead of looking in the camera, you're looking above the camera and you figure that out. Now it's second nature, 3 years and it's kind of second nature, but it's just repetition.
Yeah, you guys just recorded a video together, which will come out soon. Amazing. Watching you guys, you're both very professional. You're both in the moment. You know how to deliver. And what that would have taken most people 3 or 4 days, pretty much.
It was a dream. Like when I just throw to you, you knew exactly the line that needed to come. Like you knew exactly what was being set up. It was just that softball lob to you and just bang.
Yeah, you understand the sense of theatrical purpose, because I think a lot of people also forget that it's entertainment.
Yeah, it's I think especially the way I think about it, especially in food content, it's like there's 1,000,000 videos on lasagna. How's your lasagna video going to stick out?
Yeah.
And there's so many ways you can take it, right?
101 layers.
Yeah. You can be really theatrical with it. You can be really educational with it. You can tell a story behind it. What do you want your brand to represent and talk about? So.
Yeah. Mr. Beast also has this thing that he talks about a bit of like the purple cow.
Yeah.
Which is just, for me, why I love that is just it's a really simple way to get your head around it. Where the theory is you drive past a field of cows, you don't even know, you don't even look. Maybe, there's some cows. You drive past a field of cows and you see one purple cow and you're like, whoa, what is the purple cow doing there? And then, continuously the next week, you're like, remember when we saw that purple cow? And it's just that idea of show people something that they haven't seen before in a way that they haven't seen it. So it's a great lens whenever you're making a piece of content. You're like, why would anyone want to watch this or let alone remember it?
Absolutely.
You guys, you follow Faraway Village?
No.
Oh man, they cook like full camels and stuff like that.
Maybe I do. Yeah.
That's the purple cow.
That's the purple cow. Like there's a video where they like dig this giant trench and you see this like tinfoil silhouette of a camel and they take it off and it's just this slow cooked camel and they just pull the hump off the top of the camel and you're like, yep, that's how you get views. So that's how you do it.
That 100 million views makes sense.
It did, yeah. And it's also like it's a ground oven. So you got the excavator out. It's far out.
Just elaborating on your point about, you doing 3 videos a day and then just getting in front of the camera and repetition. I think that is a big one. I don't think for success you need to necessarily post that many times a day. But I think if you're beginning, you don't realize how quickly you learn and grow just by doing it. If you're going to do it every day, even if you don't post it, although you should because you'll see what works. We have like a story of our first kind of semi-viral video. It was just this video of me teaching people how to tamp coffee.
Yeah.
And I made the video. It felt long. I was like, Sonam, I hate this video. People aren't going to want it. I don't want to post it.
Dry. It's
And
a
he was
very
like-
dry video. Yeah.
He was like, just post it. Just post it. And then within like a few days, it's up at like 5 million.
Yeah.
The followers are just climbing. And I was just like,
Whoa.
okay,
Yeah.
now if people want education, okay, there's that value.
Yeah, you find the appetite for the viewer quite quickly that way.
And then a very similar story. We religiously post YouTube every Sunday to the main YouTube channel. We haven't missed a post yet. We were in some island in the Philippines. We had a safety video on a file, like ready to go. And my videographer and kind of right hand man at the time, Mitch, Basic Mitch, kind of famous now.
Yeah.
Something happened with the main channel video, and we were like, just pull the safety out. We'll do it. And we had it as a safety because we filmed it, and we were just like, this is trash. Like, not trash. It was just, again, it was me breaking down a whole rump and telling people how to like take a whole rump and break it into parts. Sorry, I just tapped your mic. Breaking parts that's to feed a family, right? So it's like, here's a rump. It's going to give you, I can't remember how many, it was like 4 or 5 meals for a family of 4.
That was a great video, by the way.
Yeah, see, we posted it. It went mental. Like, and then I got started getting sent all these photos of like, all Caitlin's friends would send photos of like their husbands with their iPad on the bench, like breaking down, and it's like that. Like, I think sometimes we get stuck into this beastification of YouTube and just make content that your audience wants to see, and it doesn't need to be the same as everything else.
Also, if you have a skill set, one of the easiest ways I would say to be a creator is to just take that skill set that you have and share that knowledge. What people want online is shared knowledge. Like 80% of the searches in YouTube start with how to.
Yeah.
So people are looking for it. So, and then I think same with us with tamping, same with you breaking it down. You've probably done it a million times. You're like, oh, this is but to someone else out there, that's invaluable information.
My favorite saying, knowledge makes you stupid.
Yeah, there you go.
Because you tamp and you don't even think, right? You don't think about how much repetition's been going into that motion over the years.
Yeah, and it makes it hard to be a good teacher when you're not thinking about what you're doing and it's just feel. You got to like take on those things.
And because it's a coffee podcast and we're still talking about coffee and tamping, we had this weird moment the other day about how most kids these days won't even tamp when they go to a cafe. Because the puck presses. So it's like for us, that might even be a lost knowledge soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably good riddance, right? Like
great for RSI. Great,
Like there's going to be a whole bunch of romantics in the comments, like old baristas like, tamping's way better. And it's like, well, robotics are pretty good. Like,
but I also think about that. I mean, they must have been saying it when the first espresso machine came out. Like, what a crazy piece of technology. Where they're like, hey, that's not how you make it a coffee.
You put it on the pot.
Put it on the pot. Yeah. But for people out there, just to get an idea of it, can you give us a day in the life of like how your morning to night kind of runs out?
Sure. If I'm in Sydney in the studio, it's up at 5, and then I've been a bit slack lately, but I usually try and do a 5:30 a.m. gym session. So out the door at 10 to 20 past 5, back home by 20 to 7, shower, quick like smoothie or something, and then try and be in the studio by 7:30 in the morning.
7:30. There you go. I mean, some people without the gym session would struggle even to get going at 7:30.
That's living in Queensland for a few years. Everyone's up at 4 a.m. up there. But I love it. So then that gives me an hour and a half in the studio without anyone there. So it's like thinking about, usually think about scripting, writing another cookbook at the moment, might get half an hour or 45 minutes. So I do my best, like big brain stuff first thing. So there's no one else around. I can kind of just focus. Tim gets there at 9, make sure that everyone's cool, what we're doing. If we're shooting, we'll give them an hour to kind of set up and get the stuff ready. We'll start shooting by 10. You try and be done shooting by 3, because then that gives the guys time to move data and all that kind of boring stuff that they have to do. And then they will leave anything between 5:30 and 6. And then I'll just keep going until 9. And then
what's happening between that time, between that 5 and 9?
More of the same. So planning, usually have a big debrief with Caitlin. So Caitlin is Babe, as she's kind of known on the internet.
Hey, Babe.
Hey, Babe. Yeah. Caitlin's also obviously is my partner, but she's actually the brains behind the whole thing. So she deals with, all the business stuff. So we usually have an hour, well, not maybe an hour, 45-minute debrief. She'll ask questions about stuff that she's working on that she needs from me, all that stuff. And then, and then uploading. So I still do all the uploading most nights, thinking about the next day.
You do it?
Yeah, I upload everything, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's one of the best things. I got someone else to do that now.
That's a head chef, though.
Yeah.
He's got to have it. He's got to serve
It's
it up.
control freak.
Yeah.
It's like, and then I don't, like no one has access to the channels. They're all
yours.
Yeah, because I mean, there's some people have access to the back end of YouTube, but they don't have full access, and it's just gatekeeping. Like literally, I know it is. I know I could get someone to do it, but it's a really crucial part of what we do. And it's like, if it's not right, I'd rather I stuff it up than someone else. And
You also don't want to compromise it at all. Like, what's the point?
There's so many layers to a video. It gets edited, and then it goes through a whole round of proofing. But the other day I posted a video and I had stuffed up and I hadn't caught it. I'd proofed the thing 3 times. My team hadn't caught it, and I'd called a hanger steak a bavette, not an omelette. So it's a very subtle thing. If it had gone out, I would have, it's just misinformation, which is not cool, right? Like, I'm all for showing mistakes, but it's not cool to have misinformation. So I can.
Although it might get you an extra like 2 million views of people just abusing you in the comments.
Yeah, literally.
Which, speaking of,
just every commie chef, just like, man,
idiot. I knew this guy sucked.
Yeah, I make mistakes. Sorry, guys.
But speaking of that, I mean, obviously you get so much loved, and I think beyond most creators, you are very loved because I think you just bring so much of yourself and being genuine to it. But obviously there are going to be moments of hate.
Yeah.
How do you bring yourself to mentally block out that noise, and has it changed from when you started to now?
Yeah, it's been a process to get to where I am now with it. I just ignore it now. It doesn't bother me at all. Feel sorry for some people sometimes, and you clearly tell that they're struggling, and to be like projecting that type of negative energy. So try and think about it, frame it like that. Sometimes it does get to you. Where it was an issue was when people started attacking Caitlin in the comments, like just misogynistic kind of crap, and it's just really short-sighted, and it's like, oh, she's lazy. It's like it's just wild behavior. So that was affecting me more than anything else, to the point, and sometimes we kind of stopped for a period doing those videos because it wasn't making us feel good, So now we're pretty thick-skinned with that stuff, and you just you get used to it. But I feel sorry for the young generation now, because it's wild. I'm a grown man, almost 40 years old, and people were coming after me in the comments, and they're like, my content's like deliberately very G-rated, it's pretty.
Let's make a creme brulee.
It's like, and then coming up to me, and it's like.
But I think the danger of it now is like, people in the comments are almost mini creators themselves, where they're probably not even saying something they actually think. They're like, what can I write that's going to get me a lot of likes? Because I want to see ding, 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 ding in my,
Yeah. And there's good versions of
feed.
that and bad versions of that.
Yeah.
There's a guy, Crisco Cooks, who I've met the other day, and he's like, oh, my goal is always to get the most likes. So he says really funny stuff, and sometimes it's like really crass. I kind of think it's funny, but I can't like it because it's like,
then I'll see someone will screenshot and be like, Andy Cooks.
But it's like it's funny crass stuff. But,
Was that a tactical plan to do the G-rated thing from day one, or was that something that just emerged?
I think it probably wasn't tactical initially, and then it was when I started getting sent videos of like people's like 3 and 4-year-old kids watching my content, and I was like, oh, okay, there's a responsibility here to like not be a bad person for a start. I think it's a good thing to have in life in general.
Yep.
But also that like, I met your daughter this morning. The last thing I'd want is her to see someone swearing and stuff like that. Like, if people want to swear in front of their kids, I don't care, but it's not my place to do that.
Yeah, I respect that. I swear a lot of time.
She would have been like, Daddy?
There's nothing worse than the moment when your 3-year-old says the F word.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, I've got myself to blame for that.
Actually, it's not me. It's my partner that does it. As well.
I get videos sometimes of people's kids doing the coffee up with a bell and sending it back.
Yeah.
And even like, I think I said like, that kicked my ass or something in a video once, and my like 9-year-old niece is just like, that kicked my ass. That kicked my ass. And my sister's like, thanks, Rowan. I'm like, it is. I'm like, you got to be careful with that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, you're clearly someone that, from me just watching from afar, has got a strategy and a content strategy and approach in everything from the content you're making to even the times of day that you're posting. As someone starting out, how important is it to have this strong strategy, or do you think you just need to experiment at the start and just kind of take it as it comes?
Yeah, I think experiment definitely, but don't experiment quickly, if that makes sense. So don't just keep chopping and changing. So try something. You're not going to know in 2 posts whether a strategy is working. So like, have a crack at it. Just post a certain way for a week and you're going to know. You're going to have a pretty clear data.
And then also YouTube is much more of a...
Yeah, YouTube's a different beast.
Yeah, and it's also quite labor intensive.
Yes,
if you're starting out, you start on shorts and then work your way up to long form, or would you just go straight into doing both or all?
I think the argument for that is actually could be financial for shorts, but I think they're 2 separate things. So there's no reason why you couldn't start both at the same time if you can afford it. But it's expensive to make YouTube videos. So I think what naturally happens is people start making short form content. They get a voice, they get an understanding of what type of content they want to make, and they start getting a couple of brand deals. So that means
buy
they
some
can
lights.
Yeah, they buy some lights, and they can actually start investing in making long form content. But yeah, it's a beast.
How long does an average YouTube video take for you guys to make?
Well, it depends on the video. I mean, the average cooking one is a day's shoot, and then probably 3 days of editing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So probably half a day of planning. So, I mean, call it all in realistically pretty close to 40 hours or more. There's more than one person. Call it 100 hours of man hours for one 20-minute video.
Wow. And then you've got everything else that goes around it, all the stuff that actually makes it happen, lights, cameras, rent.
Salaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you were a chef and you kind of look at it as chef, content creator, but how much did you have to become a student of social media to become who you are? How much are you looking at the analytics, the insights, and what kind of things do you take from that to help make your content better?
Yeah, you have to be a student, exactly that. I did a couple of online courses around it, which was, the annoying thing about that, it's like when you read a book and you get like 3 good things out of it, but you've got to read a whole book. But I think it's worth doing it. Do some research on people that you like in the industry and if they've done a course on it. It is tricky. There's a lot of really shit courses online at the moment and weird Ponzi selling schemes. But the analytics is incredibly powerful. But you kind of have to be really into it. So Mitch really got into analytics for us on YouTube and loved it. I am dyslexic and probably on the spectrum of ADD and all that. So I struggle with kind of pulling that data apart a bit. But it's there and it's really important. And it's I think the short form stuff's easier. It's like just watch content and see what's working. Yeah. YouTube's a bit different. You're looking at kind of, cut through rate. And
what do you break down as like some of the most important factors there? Would you, in like a priority list, would you look at where would you put, say, view time, shares, comments?
And short form?
Short form.
Short form, it changes. At the moment, it's kind of shares and they want you to share it into people's DMs, which is pretty high priority. So if you see you're getting a lot of shares, your video is usually performing well. Comments is not really that important anymore. Likes is not really that important anymore. It's like watch time and shares, because you get so the platforms at the moment, the short form platforms just want to keep people on the platform as long as possible. So,
and is there any levers that you would pull to get people sharing and also continue them watching the whole way through?
The continuing we constantly work on, that's about making engaging content that people want to watch. The shares, not so much, to be honest. I think we're really lucky now. We're at a place where I don't actually actively try and grow the viewership, because we're really comfortable with the amount of views followers that we've got.
17 million enough.
also lucky enough to just be making Stormzy a fish finger sandwich.
Yeah.
I'm going to share that.
Yeah. But I think now we're lucky enough to focus on just making good content we want to watch, and that usually resonates.
Here's something interesting that I've struggled with. Do you find that the analytics and feeding the algorithm is actually the death of creativity?
Ooh, yes. Yeah, it is, because people, and I'm guilty of this myself, you never start chasing it and you start putting out content that you don't necessarily want to put out. And you're like, just because you get addicted to the views and, you think that all my brand deals are going to dry up if I don't get the views. And again,
I've seen you doing different stuff. You did like camping videos and things that have stopped.
Yeah.
Is that because you didn't want to do that, or did you stop because it wasn't getting the views?
Probably more so the latter than anything. Camping videos are hard to do as well. It's just hard to get a lot of camping videos out. But it's also like very passionate about just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. So always trying new things. If you've got a really good trend that's going on, like I think my most famous series on short form content was the Hey Babe series, and we kind of did it too long. You make them, they're just performing, you just like keep making them, and then the views start dropping off them because people get bored of them, right? They see them like, I know this shtick, we kept going. We probably should have pulled back earlier because then you can save it and then, 2 times a year you pull it out and everyone's like, that's a bag.
Yeah.
Babe's
Throwback.
back. Yeah.
You twist it up. Who's babe on the couch?
Yeah,
It's
Whose idea was it? Yours or Caitlin's?
I'll claim that one. That was me. Yeah. I remember it was the Nice Wales, was the first one we did. And I was like, oh, fuck, how are we going to do this? And how are we going to get... I was like, oh, Caitlin, I'm going to ask you what you want. I remember saying that sometimes and I'm like my performance is terrible. I'm like, hey, babe, what do you want for... It's...
But why it's so genius is I feel like the initial line, one of the easiest ways to get views is by making something divisive.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think, hey, babe, already the world sits in 2 categories. People who call their partner babe and people who do not call their partner babe. And already the start is like, hey, babe. You're like, I'm in. There's something of like, that's like us. Or like, oh, he says babe.
Yeah. There's so much to that, right? It's like, and this was not premeditated. This was like thinking about it after.
Yeah.
There's the whole relationship you have with your loved one at home. It's like, if you're the person on the receiving end if you're the person that's the cook in the relationship or the friendship, whatever, and someone that has an answer straight away, it's like the best thing in the world. If you're the person that gets to ask what they want for dinner and to have anything you ask for just happen to be in the fridge, it's also like the dream, so it's that there's so many layers to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the process reveal. It's also like that mystery hook of how's he going to do it? What's it going to look like at the end?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's actually a structural masterpiece.
Congrats. And you saw so many different variations of it start to come after you did it as well. People being like, taking my coffee order for my girlfriend. What do you want this morning? And putting the little tag up and that kind of thing. So it's obviously had a huge impact on social as well. Now, we talked about short form content before, which I think, especially if you're, cafes or small businesses, is great if you're not looking to make money. Mm-hmm. But I think YouTube, if you're more of a creator, is a great way if you're doing long form to make money. What's the difference there compared to short form? What would be your advice if trying to create long form content?
You're in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
Because it's not profitable for the first potential year. It's like, and that doesn't mean it's going to cost you some money, but you might be not paying yourself, for example. I think the other key piece of advice is you always hear that people are like, oh, YouTube's saturated. It's not. If you make good content, it'll get watched, So, and I think always look inside, if my content's not performing, it's not actually anyone else's fault. It's your fault. So people are always like, oh, it's the algorithm or it's this or it's that. It's like, nah, it's probably just not making good content. That's the truth. It's really harsh and it's really hard to take that advice from yourself sometimes. We make bad content all the time. We get videos all the time that YouTube ranks your videos 1 to 10 when you post them, and you always want number ones, and then you get 10s, and it's a big downer, but it's it happens, and you just got to learn from it and go, well, that's our fault. What do we need to do? So
yeah. Also, hearkening back to what we talked about earlier about putting yourself in front of the camera and just putting in the effort and doing it. I think if you're worried about it, putting yourself out there, it doesn't matter if it's bad content. Like you're saying, if it's bad content, no one's watching it. People are swiping past it anyway. So you can't be embarrassed. No one's seeing it.
No one's watching it.
So just go for it.
Yeah.
This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was getting frustrated by your forms. Now, Taxes is uploading your forms with a snap, and a TurboTax expert will do your taxes for you. One who's backed by the latest tech, which cross-checks millions of data points for absolute accuracy. All of which makes it easy for you to get the most money back, guaranteed. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
So one thing that I noticed from watching on your channel is you'll see videos of someone like, we brought him up before, Mr. Beast, who spends thousands of dollars on photo editors making the thumbnails. There's time lapses of a Mr. Beast video over a month, and the thumbnail changes about 72 times, just optimizing. There's clickbait, there's attention, there's this. I feel like over time with yours, you've pulled back more and more to just it's a picture of you, the food that you're cooking, and a crap tons of views. Was this a deliberate choice?
I think at a broader level, yes. It's a choice from, it's like being honest to the customer. So, there was certainly a time where we tried to go I guess Mr. Beastie style and make them kind of really crazy. And You might get an upturn in viewership, but you don't get an upturn in return viewership. So it's like, just being honest. It's like, this is the content we produce. Most of the videos we've got are kind of stand and stir is what we call them. I try and make them as interesting as I can. I want to kind of change that this year, but so there's no point kind of making a crazy thumbnail. It has to just explain really quickly to the customer what they're going to get.
You're probably being quite humble. You've got a lot of star factor now. I'd pretty much watch anything with you on it.
Yeah, I think there's that star power side to it as well. But I think there's also, in a world so obsessed with grabbing our attention and trying to like get those things, I think there is something nice about just being honest with them and just pulling back and being like, here's what it is. And I think you've built up an audience to be able to do that. I don't think that's maybe necessarily it, but there's definitely a revolution against the clickbait.
But yeah, absolutely. And it's also, you got to be clever with it too, right? You think about like how we think about a video now. It's like, if we're going to do, roast chicken, it's like, well, how do we make an interesting roast chicken video? Like I said earlier, like it's like there's so many roast chicken videos. So it's like, okay, so I'm going to cook a roast chicken that my nana cooked from the 1950s, and I'm going to cook a roast chicken now. And it's like that comparative against the two and what's wrong and right. So you can't just be like, here's a roast chicken. Yeah. You have to kind of give the customer more.
So corn-fed chook is a normal chook.
Yeah.
Whatever I do, I'll
that one down.
The one that I remember people always going off was your mashed potatoes video.
Oh,
Dear God.
We're angry
Who
about
cares?
that.
It's just creamy mash. That's not chunky. So what happened? Can you give us a quick breakdown of that? That's just a funny story.
Yeah, I just like made a video. It's like, and I think I started with it. This is how you make the silkiest mash ever. It's like I guess it's pompure rather than mash. It's like very restaurant style, like, fine dining mash, I guess you could call it. And I've made it 1,000 times. And it was probably a little bit runnier than I wanted as well, but I just like, oh, it's fine. It's not like too bad. And the comment section just went mental. Like people were just absolutely so annoyed that I made mash that was silky smooth, and it's not mashed potato and it should have lumps in it and all this stuff. And
I like it silky.
Yeah, I like it both. Like if I'm eating at my friend's house and he's making me bangers and mash, then absolutely have it lumpy. It doesn't bother me. If I'm at a fancy restaurant and I'm eating a beef cheek that's been lovingly braised for 12 hours, and I want my mash to match that.
Yeah, delicate like fish or something.
Yeah.
You don't want overpowering, a little bit buttery. Yeah, perfect. Exactly.
It's just people like think that there's always one way to do things. It's so annoying. Like there's more. And if you don't like it, it's okay.
Don't make it.
Actually, it's funny. We recently held a competition within our media circle about video ideas and stuff that we could do. And one of the editors came up with a video that was 800 ways to open a tin of Milo.
That'd go off.
It probably would. Yeah,
that'd be sick.
Yeah. If you could do 800 bash.
Now, one of the things that I think separates you from a lot of other creators that are doing it is it feels like everything that you want to do is about creating value for the viewers that are there, whether you're teaching them, showing them how to become a better home cook. Even with your merch, like what a masterclass. Most creators just slap their face or their name on a t-shirt and throw it out there. You, waited a long time. And when you did launch it, it was cooking gear that's actually going to help you. It's, meat weights to hold down your meat to get the perfect crust, the scrapes, it's all this stuff. So everything from your content, even to your merch, is creating value. Do you think this is an integral part and kind of the future of how you need to create content?
If you want to be in the long haul, I think it is. I think you need to be really deliberate with how you're doing it, and like how you're making money on this stuff. It's like, I think if the days of just putting your name on a t-shirt are kind of over. Personally, I have nothing. I don't want anyone wearing a t-shirt with my name on it. Like it's kind of weird. We do t-shirts, but we do like collaboration. I'm just talking out loud, and I forgot to bring you guys them. But anyway, we do video, a special one-off t-shirt that if we collaborate with anyone, we give them that t-shirt. Cool. But I think it needs to be deliberate. It needs to be,
But we made some. I'm actually wearing the golden brown Annie Cook's underwear right now. It's just got it.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I've got it on.
It just says, hey, bub, babe on the butt.
Yeah. And if you want to see the underwear, subscribe to our Patreon and for $5 a month.
But that's also Caitlin. So, we're quite different personalities in the fact that I'm kind of move fast, break shit. She's very much like cool calm, collected, and calculated. And she's like, if we're going to do merch, we're doing it properly. And I'm like, no, we just need to go. And she's like, no. Like, I'm like, I'm just going to go on Alibaba and just get someone to put Annie Cooks on a bench scraper. She's like, no, we're going to do it properly. We're going to, find someone that we can actually do it properly and launch it properly.
Yeah, we did that with the cups. We worked with a local ceramicist here in Melbourne, and then we've been, totally sensitive or succumbed to her having a baby, then her raising a child.
Yeah.
We could have sold millions of these cups, but we've upheld our integrity on it. And
Absolutely.
Gone, we'll wait for her to come back. Yeah. And so by chance, we've created a limited drop.
Yeah. And I think people want that too, right? Like I think if you're in this for the long haul, people want to get behind people that they like, that are half decent human beings, and if you are being integral about how you're running your business, then that's all we can ask, as long as you have a crack and try.
All right, advice time. I was going to say a young person out there, if you're any age person, even if you're 80, if you're wanting to start a social channel and content today, what are 3 bits of advice that you'd give someone?
That's a question. 3 bits of advice.
Or just whatever, list any.
Don't succumb to shitty brand deals. This is the first piece of advice. Don't do brand deals if you can avoid it to a certain degree. Like I think, and be really intent about your brand deals if you're trying to make money out of it, because your reputation's everything, right? So as soon as you do a dodgy brand deal, and I've done them and I regret them, and we've learned our lesson. So that's it's probably a bit further down the line than I probably should have started at. And then it's like we've talked about a lot, repetition, make lots of content, try and practice a lot, figure it out. And lastly, just be yourself. And it's the most cliche, boring piece of advice, and it's something that I've only just learned. It's like people just want my content the way I want to make it. And even if they don't, who cares? Just make the content you want to make, because it gets really tiring really fast making stuff you don't want to make.
We recently got a brand deal proposal that's come across our desk that Rowan's risking it all for.
Yeah, good on you.
My God.
Yeah, just for the $1. Yeah.
This is
I don't know how many dollars we're going to get out of this thing.
We vet all of our deals, and even to the product. We're send it first and let us use it for a bit,
absolutely.
and then we'll get back to you and all that kind of stuff. But the one that's coming across my desk that I really want is the Pixel mug. The mug that lights up with a screen on it. On your phone, you can draw the pictures. It projects to your cup.
Do it.
I'm like, just send me the motherload of Pixel cups. Need to get them for the listeners of this pod, or to say, send us 1,000 Pixel cups, and everyone can be drinking with a little picture of me on their cup going
Do you do
away.
a Pixel bowl?
Yeah, the Pixel bowl. Oh, I'd risk it all for that piece of crap mug that'll probably break in a day.
Electrocute you somehow.
Now, we've got, and I get a lot of questions about this. We'll probably have a lot of listeners of this pod who work at roasteries, restaurants, cafes in the industry. Would that advice that you just gave change at all if it was for a small business trying to start their social channels?
Yeah. Don't think that followers are a vanity metric. Don't worry about followers. Worry about engaging your customer, because who cares if someone that can't get your product is engaged with it? Doesn't matter. I get the argument for brand awareness, but yeah, I think there's so many brands doing content so wrong these days, and it's like people.
They're doing it just for the sake of it.
Literally, they're just ticking a box, right? And it's like, it's just the worst reason to do it. Just make intentional content, tell stories, and it's like, I get why people would tell, this is this so-and-so employee and they like to go fishing in the weekend. It's kind of like, guys, it's been done so many times. There's so many other stories you can tell. And I'm all for celebrating the people that work in your business. I'm not saying don't do that, but I think there's way better ways to do content as a company.
Celebrate them with what they're doing in the business.
Absolutely.
And where it is. So one of the number one things that I just want to say to every single brand is stop starting your videos with hey, my name's Rowan.
Yeah. And
I'm from blah, blah, blah. No, just say what the video is about. If you're a company that, if you're like a cafe, and let's say you're braising some meat for hours, or you got to show them that. Be like, that dish that you love at this cafe, this took 12 hours to make. We have blah, blah, blah back in the kitchen who's been there late that night, cooking it up, making sure it's great. Add some value to what you're serving and tell those stories about what makes your cafe so great and separate from others. Sometimes it may be a negative. Hey guys, if you come down to our cafe, you might actually have to wait a bit to get our matcha.
Yeah.
That's because we're hand whisking every single one because we believe in the quality that much. You know, have those unique selling points and sell that. And for God's sake, stop starting you with a video with, hey, it's Tom. Because no one cares.
No one cares, Tom.
No one cares.
So today I'm going to show you, fuck off. I think it was also adding on to what Rowan was just saying, like you have to be so efficient in your delivery in a menu now.
Yes.
It's like 6 words.
Yeah.
It's like you've got a whole video. You could tell us everything about that one dish. That could be an amazing story.
Yeah. Talk about the supplier.
Talk about anything and everything that's attached to it instead of like Tom's eggs scrambled.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, for a bit of fun, because people love a big number, what's your biggest video that you've ever created view-wise?
Short format is a biryani, Hey Babe biryani video with collectively would have well over 200 million views now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big number.
Yeah. What about YouTube?
Great. It'd be not more than 1 million, maybe 1.8 million. And I don't even know what. Maybe there's an eggs video with a lot, like how to cook an egg.
Yeah.
You know, it's the simple stuff.
Do you think that like a big video has been like the biggest shift in your brand? And if not, what was the thing where you were like, that was a tipping point for you?
I don't think there's one video. No, I think there's the Hey Babe series was a pivotal kind of piece of our history, I guess. I don't think there's been one video. I think there's just been consistently showing up in people's feeds.
Yep.
Yeah.
So again, consistency, not the one thing, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's great.
Yeah, so it's the method, not the metric, really.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and you think about that biryani video that did 200 million views, you know, there's, I think the days leading that after that video was going live and it was just blowing up. You know, there was days that we were getting 40,000 new followers on Instagram a day. But, you know, you are those people still watching the videos? Probably not. You know, so it's like great and it makes you feel good at the time. And I'm not saying don't chase that stuff, but was it like actually, did it really shift the needle? And like in actual people that want to watch my content? Probably not as much as you think.
Well, the craziest thing that people might not know, and I don't know if yours is the same, maybe we just suck, but is just seeing like we have that constant growth. You have to keep doing it because like we get thousands of people unfollow us like
2,000 a day.
Yeah. Oh, do you?
Without a doubt. Between 2,000, 2,500 every single day.
Yeah. And so you have the numbers where you're like, okay, I've just got to be outperforming the unfollows by this many follows.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And you know, people go through different points of life. I actually there's a good point. I'm like, sometimes an unfollow to me, I'm like, I've taught this person how to make a good coffee and they're done now.
And
they're like,
done,
I don't need to see how to do it anymore.
You just need to, I look at my own habits, right? And I'm like, you know, and there's also times that I just have I'm just like, oh, you know.
A fad. You go through something. I'm a home cook.
Yeah.
I don't month lady. Like
I don't unfollow people anymore though, because I feel like it's like bad juju, you know, like.
Why is that?
Well, someone's like, oh my God, Andy follows me, you know, and they're flattered and then I unfollow them. Now they go and figure out that I've unfollowed them.
Oh, do I need to go through all my channels and see if you still follow? Oh my God. This interview could be over real quick.
I don't unfollow. I don't.
Okay.
No more.
Great.
Don't unfollow people and I don't give bad reviews.
And you don't actually open the apps.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a statement about like, I think a really important thing for listeners and people who are wanting to do this. You said it before, be genuine.
Yes.
So if I was to turn on the TV and I was to see an ad with some like TikTok influencer or socialite, I'd be like rolling my eyes in the back of my head and I'd be like, oh my God, are you kidding me? But when I see a bus go by with your beautiful mug chugging down a Boss coffee, I can't help but cheer for you.
Well,
I can't help but be like, yes, like what a legend. And I think it comes down to just being genuine and being yourself. Like you mentioned it before, but do you think that's a huge part of what you've tried to do and why you're so liked?
I hope so. But yeah, I think so. You know, and then on that brand deal, it was a
lot of money. Oh, sorry, you weren't finished. Go ahead.
It was nothing. It was a brand that I like.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely, I'm not just saying that because I'm tied to them. Like it's a drink that I've drunk, and it's like for an iced coffee, it's pretty good.
Yep.
You know, and they have a black version, which is what I like. No one else does a bloody black version. I don't know why, right? So they come to us and they go, "We wanted this brand deal." I'm like, honestly, I'm like, no. And Caitlin's like, well, we should probably consider this. I'm like, okay, we'll consider it. It's like, well, I want to see the creative. What's the creative? Because it's like, I'm not just going to put my name. It's like, sure, I don't mind the product, so I'll consider it. Quite like the product, so I'll consider it. And then there's obviously the financial part of it, which is really important. We're running a business. We have a lot of overheads, all that stuff. Let's call a spade a spade.
Once you have a bunch of staff and rent,
yeah,
you're like,
it's crazy. People
when you're doing
understand.
brand deals, you're like, do you want me to break down my costs for you
Literally.
and why it costs this?
It's like payroll. We do payroll once a month, and it's anxiety inducing. Not because of it's a lot of money, and it's like people's lives.
Yep.
Like I hire adults with kids and
with
mortgages
kids.
and
Yep.
stuff. Right? It's a big responsibility. But then it's like, well, let's see the creative because I want to see what this is going to look like. Because if it's, like, I'm not doing it. Like, it needs to be a story behind it. Who's directing this thing? Like, so then you're happy to do it.
Did Taika direct it?
No, another Kiwi did. I'm
there you
so
go.
sorry. The gentleman who directed it, I've forgotten your name, but you were lovely and you did a great job.
I've seen the photos on the billboards.
Yeah.
Was it crazy going from content to like ad shoot? Like, how many times did you have to do that panning shot through the kitchen to use?
Yeah, there was a
side
lot.
chugging?
Yeah, it was just a different experience. And I've shot with big crews before, but I've never shot an ad before. And I think ads are like even next level, right?
Yeah.
So it's what they had me for one day, and that it was a big day, and there was be pushing 100 people on set.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of gear, a lot of people. Yeah.
So lifetime supply, was that negotiated?
The studio's fridge is full of Boss coffee. And
Oh,
so
nice.
my editor, Caleb, bless him, loves the things. And I have to keep calling, Caitlin keeps calling, we need more. And I'm like,
a
just
side
keep
hustle.
drinking, bro. Just keep drinking, man. It's working.
And it's Harvey Keitel's silhouette on the Boss coffee. Is that correct?
I
I was going to say, how long till you take it?
Yeah.
That's
You need the limited can. Just your mug. I'd drink the hell out of that.
Yeah, I'm like, give me a stronger one. They're
Yeah.
like, really? I'm like, yeah, I want a stronger one. They're like,
Oh, for 4X.
The chef in him is kicking.
Yeah.
Instead of the Red Bulls, give me
Yeah.
the red.
absolutely.
Yeah.
No sugar. It'll be almost 0 calories, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Oh, it's like the tradie come in with the quad shot with 6 sugars.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's the. Oh, that's like a go-to. Like that's not even like a joke.
It's not even, yeah.
The quad shot cap with like 6 sugars. The most I've seen is 12 sugars.
Whoa, that's wild. That's wild.
Which, to be fair, I measured it out. So about the same as a can of Coke.
Really?
So-
yeah, it's not actually that bad.
Yeah. So you're like, oh, it's just the same as having a can of
And
Coke.
it's still bad.
Yeah.
still bad.
It's just not that common.
Okay, so we went, we had a viral video the other week where I kind of came out with a statement and I said 2025 is the year that home baristas become better than the cafe, or
Yep.
at least the experience of the cafe.
Yeah.
As a chef, do you think 2020, sorry, I'll start again. As a chef, do you think that 2025 is the year that home cooks are better than restaurants and eating out?
Short answer, no. And here's why. I agree. I think 2020, I think last year was the year I became a better barista than most coffee shops that I've been to, with the exception of work with some, work with Matt Perger for crying out loud and Kurt and, all those guys. So I think I haven't seen that level of coffee passion in a while. The Sunshine Coast, it definitely didn't exist. There's some good cafes in the Sunny Coast, but I think because chefs, food is different. And so is coffee. I guess you could make the argument, but I think it's more prevalent that eating out is actually only like 30% the chef. The chef's probably going to hate that I say this, but it's the experience, right? And it doesn't matter where it is, it's about the experience. If it's in the amazing Thai restaurant that's got plastic tables and, crazy, aggressive service, it's part of the experience. If you're at Gimlet, you go to Gimlet. I love Gimlet, right? I'm a big fan of that restaurant because the room is beautiful. The staff are incredible. The waiters know what they're talking about. Caitlin orders a glass of wine. The som comes over and they are on point. The food is on point. It's the whole experience. So I think it's different. I think there's a lot of home cooks, and I have very good friends, like, some of my best mates that are passionate home cooks, like accountants and stuff, right? Passionate home cooks that technically on some things are probably better than me at things, but it's not the same. Like
I think coffee is getting to that point, but in other places like in Japan where they're offering omakase experiences where it's not just about that cup of coffee, because you're right. Like you go to Gimlet and they're on it. And like sometimes it's funny, the education can be that. If you have the som come over and tell you about a glass of wine, if he poured it blind and you sipped it, you'd be like, I don't like this. It's a bit chalky. It's a bit something. He comes over and he goes, the minerals in the soil from this give the texture of the wine a beautiful chalk flavor. And then you have it and you go, he's right. She's right. It is like that. So I agree. I think the experience is really what sets places apart.
Yeah. Going back to your 30%, like Neil Perry's quite famous for saying that good cooking is good shopping.
Yeah.
And so,
I've never heard that, but I like it.
Yeah, but so you, like as a home chef, may not actually have access to those ingredients.
Correct.
Because they will completely bypass
or the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the other point, I wish I could counteract you with the quote because I can't remember who quoted it. But there's the other side of was it David Chen? Yeah, Chang. He says something along the lines of, good cooks use good ingredients, but a chef takes things that are inedible and makes them amazing.
Yeah. But it just depends on the style of cooking, right? Like Neil's cooking is very honest, right? It's like, here's an amazing piece of whiting.
Yeah.
And I've just grilled it. And when I put some of the tastiest olive oil in the country on it, and some amazing salt that was harvested in South Australia.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, wow, that's good.
Yeah, that is really good.
Here's some beef you'll never be able to touch. Other than when you come to Margaret.
Yeah, because I think the budget thing is also really important to acknowledge, right? And it's something that I'm really conscious of. That it's like you can be like, I can make the best lasagna in the world, but it's like, no one can afford to go out and buy Wagyu short ribs to grind up and make incredible bolognese, right? It's like people need to be. It's one of my gripes at the moment, right? And I have a very good relationship with a very big beef company, and I love them, and they do amazing stuff. But food creators have commoditized Wagyu, and it's like a Japanese A5 Wagyu, and it's like people need to stop cooking it like you're eating a steak in the States or in Australia. It's not meant to be eaten like that, right? It's very, very rich. You should be eating 80 grams maybe as part of an omakase, like with a whole bunch of other stuff. And then you see these guys take a tomahawk of the stuff, and it's like, that's not nice to eat. It's like
you feel so sick afterwards. Even when you braise, I braised some Wagyu short ribs, which don't recommend why braise doing that. But it had 8 liters of fat that came out. I'm like, what am I doing here?
And interestingly, I did a I don't know when this is coming up. I might spoil it anyway. I did a Wagyu beef cheek pie for Yuki Tsunoda yesterday.
Where is it?
It's in Yuki Tsunoda's stomach. But all
right, podcast is over. That's it. There's no pie here.
And it was, it was amazing. It was delicious. And he's eating it. He goes, is this, I don't know if anyone knows Yuki Tsunoda, but he's a Japanese Formula 1 driver, loves Wagyu, kind of always talks about it. And he goes, is this Australian Wagyu? I said, yeah, it is. And I thought he was about to be like, not as good as Japanese. He's like, oh, I love it. I love Australian Wagyu. I said, better than Japanese? He goes, yeah. I said, why is that? He goes, because Japanese Wagyu is too rich. He's like, the first mouthful was amazing. Second mouthful, it just degradates after that. Yeah, and I was like, whoa, take that clip. That's gonna be a. That's huge.
Because it tastes like beef. Australian Wagyu. It doesn't just taste like the fat. Yeah.
Let's help for the clip. So what you're saying is Australian Wagyu is better than Japanese Wagyu? Andy!
Like in the Japanese, Japanese are too polite to ever come at me.
Yeah, exactly. They're just like,
They'll restructure their industry to be nicer to you.
They'll hire you to sell their coffee. Oh wait, that happened.
Actually, on the Wagyu one, have you had that? I think it's Wagyu where the cows are fed chocolate or something like that. They're fed really specific diets.
Yeah, I have had some pretty extreme Wagyu. Yeah, but I haven't had the chocolate one yet. But there's one I think that they're fed or almonds, I think, or some kind of nut, and that's pretty special.
Kind of like Iberican jamon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
exactly.
Oh yeah, what do they eat? Acorns?
Yeah.
Acorns.
Yeah, acorns. Oh, everyone said that at me so disappointed. Like, you idiot. Yeah, acorns.
Acorns,
like you don't even know about. Do you even like cooking anymore?
Great question.
How do you balance cooking every day with just making this content?
I love it, but my kind of relationship with cooking's changed, like it does for most chefs. So it was kind of interesting. My relationship with cooking. Was a chef for a long time since I left school until I left to go Emirates, and didn't really cook much at home. Went to do the corporate job and then discovered home cooking again and really enjoyed it. Then started making content and cooking every day, and now again I probably enjoy it more than I did when I was actually cooking full time on the line. But yeah, It's different. I don't cook much if I'm not, but I do now. Maybe it's because I'm getting older. I do like the idea. And I have one of my friends, is a full name dropping here. Ben Sherry is a friend of mine.
Clang.
He does these amazing dinner parties, and it's kind of sparked my kind of love for dinner parties. Like, that kind of intimate experience of having your friends around a table. So
no time pressure. Everybody can just relax.
Yeah. And you can show off a bit and try things. And,
And the sharing is the best part of doing it. Like I remember when I was like single and didn't have a partner, I was like, what am I going to cook for 2 hours so I can eat it in 15 minutes? But now with my partner who like loves food, I'm like, I get such a joy of cooking every night, and trying different things and trying to like impress them and give them a unique experience.
Yeah.
What's your cheat meal for like just a sustenance? I just need to eat something.
Oh, packet ramen. Like, yeah.
So the video's true.
Yeah, the video's true.
He's genuine.
He's genuine.
But the truth is, I run a food content business.
Yeah,
and I'm in the studio. If I'm in Sydney, I'm in the studio, and it's full of food, and it's full of like food from shoots that I can just heat up and eat. So I just eat what we shot.
I mean, you're lucky staff.
Yeah. They are lucky. Yeah,
what a perk.
That was part of it. We make sure that there's. I don't want it. Everyone's like, oh, what do you do with all the food? It's like, get eaten. Everything gets eaten. There's not just no stunt food. Nothing. It's like, if we don't eat it on the shoot, or I don't eat it, we have another fridge downstairs that's a free-for-all, and it's full of Boss coffee and leftover shoot food.
And Red Bull.
No Red Bull.
No Red Bull?
No, just Boss coffee.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to put this out there. I think right now, as of 2025, you're in the 10 most influential chefs in the world.
Oh, that's a big call. I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, you should feel pretty good about it. But I would say, I want to talk about your future goals, because when I watch you, and I think the difference is here, you put so much into it and you don't just take your foot off the pedal as things are starting to grow. You double down. I see you bring in new editing techniques. I see that your camera's slightly changed. Now you're integrating more of a slight move camera that feels like a cooking show. You've got a gobo with different light settings come in. You've started a new channel, back of house, so people can look into that side of it. You are not stopping evolving at any point. Month on month, it is changing.
Yep.
What does the future hold? And is there any end goal or something you want to get to? Or does your type of personality just not have an end in sight?
I kind of joke about this with Caitlin all the time. I'm like, she always like, man, we got to slow down. And I'm like, no, we're good. Like, let's just go until we're 50. So we've got like 10 more years of like, just like full charge, and then we'll slow down. And she's like, you're not going to slow down when you're 50. Like, I think that's just my personality. I think at a kind of a larger level, the goal is just I think there's been a pivotal change in my thought process about what we do. We've gone from being content creators to this year, I'm trying to think about us as a production company that makes food content and tries to inspire people to cook better food at home. I want to start getting to storytelling more, because I kind of really like that content. A big fan of what Anthony Bourdain did in his content. I was a big fan of a lot of those early cooking shows that were kind of story-based. I think Renee's new series that he did with a guy called Ben, who's from Sydney, Omnivore, I think it's called, about ingredients. I love that stuff. So I'd love to be at the point where we start making content like that tells stories about people, produce,
Rick Stein.
food. Yeah, Rick Stein. I love Rick Stein. Yeah. So, I think that's kind of the long-term goal. This year is just about, we're doubling down on YouTube and we are going hard, and I really want to grow the viewership on that. And I think there's a lot, we're still leaving a lot on, from viewerships kind of missed from, getting, and I think it's a lot to do with packaging and actually having like a really common theme and bringing that to the market. And
I'm going to echo what Rowan said about the top 10 thing, because it's like, can you tell me the head chef from the top 10 restaurants in the world last year?
No.
Yeah, exactly. No. I don't think you could add the average person. I don't reckon you could ask the average person who's your top 5 favorite chefs. You'd be in there easily, I reckon. 100%. It'd be like Gordon Ramsay, Weissman, Kenji Lopez, Chang.
Kenji's a legend, yeah.
Hey,
right,
you're an absolute.
He's a legend.
You're right at the top, man.
And she's not a chef, and she says it proudly, but Nagi from Recipe 10 Eats.
Super influential,
Super influential, and a genuinely good person and very good at what she does. Her recipe writing is next level good. She recipe tests her stuff to death. Her stuff is good. I really love her. And the stuff
I saw you do a shout out of it.
Man, I love what she does. She's got a full-on food kitchen that's not just like a a food bank. It's like they are making beautiful meals to people who need meals, and they're doing like thousands and thousands of these things every day, and it's like proper food. There's no questions asked. If you need a meal, you can get one, and she's doing it all out of her own pocket.
That's amazing.
Like hats off. Good people. Yeah.
So on that, maybe that answers one of them, but apart from yourself, who would be your top 3 food creators to follow this year?
Oh, man, it's changing all the time. And I'm really bad with names. So there's people that I should probably shout out that I just can't remember their names. But I mean, Nagi, I think you're going to see Nagi go from strength to strength. And, you know, she'll probably hate I say this because she's so humble. But I think she's going to blow up in a really good way, even bigger. She's already massive, I think. But, you know, she's kind of come to the forefront a bit more as a personality recently. And I think that's just going to keep going.
Said anyone but you.
Oh, sorry, I missed that part. I selectively heard that part.
I just heard Andy Cooks.
There's so many amazing. I think you're just going to find that there's a bunch of really clever young storytellers that are passionate about food. There's a couple here. I think they're in Melbourne. I'm so sorry I've forgotten their name. And they did the video that got me hooked. They did a video about going to the Sydney fish market with their family every Christmas Eve and eating prawns. And it's like a young couple that cook beautiful food. And they're not chefs, but their storytelling is like immaculate. And it's like, I love seeing people like that do well, because it's like, you know, I can learn so much from them, like let alone other people. And it's more about storytelling. And because food's one of those amazing things that's like so universal. It's like covers history. It covers pride, family, location. Like it's like such a romantic, beautiful thing that needs to be celebrated more, I think.
There's nostalgia built within it. Absolutely. That everyone is so emotionally connected to. I mean, there are those stats out there about like, is smell one of the biggest indicators of nostalgia in that? So food obviously stands up right there. And now for the people listening that want to be the next Andy Cooks, even though there can't be a next Andy Cooks, what's the one thing that they can do today, pull the thumb out and just get going? What should they do?
Like the most cliche thing, but just start. Just make a video. Just make a video from start to finish, and don't put down your laptop or whatever until it's finished. Don't be like, oh, it's not perfect. Just make it.
And Andy, we actually spoke before the show, and he made a really generous offer. He said, if you film something today, just send it to him. Just send him an email, send him a DM,
to his account,
and he's going to personally review and analyze each video and teach you how to better do it. Yeah. And then I was going to do this off the air, but I'll just do it now. We want to kick off on our YouTube. What do you recommend for us? Like, we want to start pushing it more, doing the long form. Like, what have you learned where you're like, don't make these mistakes?
That's a great question. I think be honest with your audience and what they want to do. So I think for you guys, it's coffee education, right? So just give them the tamping video, you know, how to pull the perfect shot of espresso, how to use that new coffee machine that's just come out.
Perfect. Easy as. Well, that about brings us to the end of our episode. I kind of, that's all, folks. That about brings us to the end of the episode. Andy, thank you for taking out the time from your day. You've got F1, you've got all these things off, but you gave us time, little old us, and we're so...
These guys have a bigger production team than I do. Little old us. Seriously.
Bigger production. No, but it means a lot. I think people would have found this. This was super informative. This is one of the best chats that I've had. Had an amazing time. Thank you for coming down. Now, is there anything out there? Andy's got an amazing cookbook coming out.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, you've got an amazing cookbook.
Got a cookbook. There's one writing. It won't be ready for a while. They take ages. But
I didn't know whether I was like, he's got one coming out. I was like, oh, wait, NDAs. What are we signing? It's like secrets out there.
Caitlin's going to yell at me for this after.
Chef makes cookbook.
Yeah. Wild. Who would have thought? But
follow him on all the channels. He's on YouTube. He's on Instagram. He's on TikTok. Go down and see him at F1 today, even though this won't come out for a few weeks. Thank you again for coming by the show.
Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being such a stand-up bloke. It was really nice for that. Just honesty and just giving all your time. We know how valuable your time is.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. It's been fun.
Yeah, and Sonam will pay the check once that one clears.
We've got the check, don't we?
Yeah.
Bit of a comical.
Comical check just come out.
$3.25. That's how many views this got on YouTube.
We'll give you the YouTube AdSense payment from it. No, we'll send it your way. No, thank you for tuning in. If you want to reach out to us, hello@itsjustcoffeepod.com. You can hit us on the socials at It's Just Coffee Podcast. Want to hear from you, who you want to see next, any insights. And we got bloody Andy Cooks on this show for you. For God's sake, please subscribe. We're trying here.
Like the video, subscribe if you're not.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it's just, it helps us. We're trying to put it where you can see we're putting a lot of work here for these listeners, and we want it to be the best show that it can be. We're pulling Andy Cooks. We'll have Hoffman next. We'll get Jimmy Butler. He's got his coffee company. We're doing it for you. So hitting that subscribe really helps us to do all of those things. Do you reckon they should hit subscribe, Andy?
Subscribe.
There's the clip that we need. That's all that we need. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, it's just coffee. Oh, come on, Andy. Come on.
Okay.
And as always,
It's just coffee.
Yay.
So true. Mate, how's that for timing?
Perfect.
2 minutes. Jeez.
See you later.